it seems like a person needs to do this or that in order to be magnetic or be attractive. The truth is, what appears as what a person does, as in they dress a particular way, or they behave in a particular way, or they talk in a particular way, all happens effortlessly in flow, which is the natural result of being who you are. And you can be who you are once you know who you are. You are that still I am presence that never changes, that remains eternally still in perfect peace or joy or happiness or bliss. Sat-Chit-Ananda, existence consciousness bliss, or Truth-Consciousness-Bliss. Now, Ananda in Sat-Chit-Ananda can also be translated into happiness, joy, or peace. So you are that eternal peace, joy, happiness, bliss. Now, everything happens naturally, and it manifests as what we can point to and say attractiveness, magnetic personality. Those are appearances of your real nature. And they happen naturally. They happen naturally in flow. All these things happen naturally, including what a person may try to do in order to be attractive or magnetic, such as surrendering, letting go, detachment, emotional regulation, nervous system regulation, neurological transformation, heart-brain coherence, transformation of body, transformation of the world, mind purification. All of these things happen naturally in flow, and flow is the natural result of being as you are, and being as you are is the natural result of knowing who you are. So, in the silence, it is known who you are. You can do nothing to know who you are. By that it is meant, you are that pure awareness, witnessing all these things in perfect peace, bliss, joy, happiness, love, fulfillment. You are that already. You are witnessing this conversation and any kind of mental phenomena, if applicable, any body shifts or changes, sensations in the body, emotions, etc. If you're in a room, then you may see some furniture or whatever. You are that which is aware of all these things in consciousness as bliss, happiness, joy, peace, love. As you abide as you are, you can see clearly then, you can witness clearly then, these things like surrendering, letting go, detachment, emotional regulation, emotional release, nervous system regulation, heart-brain coherence, transformation of the body, neurological changes, transformation of your world as well, mind purification, happens naturally. It also happens while going about your day-to-day initiatives, whatever it may be. Could be in business, your tasks, your projects, your initiatives. Could be, if you're an athlete, your training during your events, etc. All these things happen naturally. So what could sound like things to do actually happen naturally as you abide as you are, beyond any beliefs of limitation. You are therefore the eternal peace. What happens to the individual when identification is released to a belief of limitation? They say, I experience happiness or joy or peace or bliss or fulfillment. Having released identification to this perceived limitation in mind, the immediate response is the feeling of peace, joy, happiness, bliss. That is the natural result of knowing who you are. They no longer identified with it, or more accurately put, they realize that they are that still I am presence that is beyond any kind of identification to beliefs of limitation. Now, as mentioned, all of these things happen naturally in flow, and the way of life is flow. So you came here to live your life, and the way of life naturally is flow. And all these things that the individual thought they needed to do first in order to live their life all happen naturally and effortlessly as they abide as they are. Just as you can abide as you are in the silence during a meditation or while going for a walk, you can also abide as you are during tasks, projects, initiatives, in conversations, etc. Because you never change. It's not like you are different in a meditation. The you that I refer to is the eternal, absolute, supreme being, who you are beyond the individual in mind thinks they are or not. Beyond that, who is aware of this individual in mind, thinking this or that? There you are. Here you are, more accurately put. And you always remain the same. You are that still I am presence, the eternal, supreme, absolute bliss. Knowing who you are, what naturally manifests in the body is what we can call relaxation or emotional regulation. And body also naturally flows in a way where we can point to it and say attractiveness or personal magnetism. Now, as the individual realizes who they are, they also find that they don't look around to this world for approval, validation, or confirmation of how they should be, need to be, must be, in order to be magnetic or attractive, etc. Rather, the natural manifestation of knowing/being as you are is your style, your way, which happens to be your best way, your natural way. And as you are not identified with these beliefs that seem to restrict the flow of you being you, you continuously appear to become more of who you are. So the way it appears then is you can talk about your life story. You could say, I did this, and then I realized that, and now I understand this, and I dress this way now, and I feel more comfortable now. In dates, I feel more at ease. In relationships, I feel more comfortable. All of these are indications to you that you have become more of who you are. Now, interestingly, you are infinite love, infinite happiness, infinite peace, infinite bliss, infinite fulfillment. So what you appear as now is still a small percentage, if we could use the word percentage, although you are infinite, but let's, for the sake of conversation, say small percentage of who you are. And just by abiding as you are, the natural result of it is your way that manifests, which includes how you communicate, what you say, how you dress, your interests, your hobbies, etc. And when you interact with people, you find that they accept you the way you are. It's a natural reflection of you accepting yourself the way you are. So as mentioned, just as you can be as you are during a meditation, while going for a walk in nature, etc., you can also be as you are during your tasks and initiatives, even during perceived challenge. Because you never change. What appears to change is the mind, is the body, is the environment, the people, the circumstance, the information. All these things of this world appears to change. And more accurately put, it appears to transform, to reflect who you are. That absolute supreme bliss, joy, happiness, peace. Sat-Chit-Ananda. I am that awareness. You are that awareness. Here to, in consciousness, experience your real nature, which is bliss, joy, happiness, peace. That is Sat-Chit-Ananda, existence, consciousness, bliss, or truth, consciousness, bliss. And as mentioned, Ananda may be translated to bliss, happiness, joy, peace. So you're not trying to be peaceful. You're not trying to be happy. You're not trying to be blissful. You're not trying to be joyful. There is no pretending to be these things. You are these things. This is not toxic positivity. This is you being as you are, which is a natural result of knowing who you are. That never changes. That is absolute. That is eternal. That is where the individual springs from, the sure foundation, as articulated in the various scriptures of the world. As you abide as you are, the experience can be described, as far as relationship with this world goes, as a dance. The world no longer appears to be in conflict with you, which was the result of belief identification in mind that is dissolved by your presence. So that is what I mean by when I say sometimes existence is enough, presence is enough, being is enough. Being is enough, presence is enough, existence is enough to purify the mind, to release identification. As release identification can sound like a thing to do. Yet it is not a thing to do. You are that which is not identified with this world. You witness the phenomena of this world just as you witness the phenomena in mind. And as you witness all these things, you know that you transcend all these things. So do these beliefs of limitation then, that can suggest not love, not happiness, not peace, not bliss, not fulfillment, accurately represent you? You know clearly now they are not you and they do not represent you. Those beliefs are illusory. They do not represent reality, which is you. I am that pure awareness, And my real nature is bliss, happiness, peace, joy. I am fulfilled. And as you are, that joy, happiness, peace, bliss, it naturally manifests. The natural fragrance of you is what we can point to and say attractiveness or personal magnetism. And it appears your way. So as mentioned, you are not looking around to this world for approval, validation, or confirmation of being who you are. It doesn't make any sense. Why would you do that? You desire to know/be who you are. And now you know who you are. You desire to manifest who you are, which is perfectly fine. Nothing wrong with you for desiring to know and be who you are. You are already that. You know you are that pure awareness. As you abide as that pure awareness, what permeates the body? What permeates the body is your real nature. The feeling of bliss, the feeling of joy, the feeling of peace, the feeling of bliss, the feeling of fulfillment. And then, interestingly, all these things happen naturally. In flow, surrendering, letting go, detachment, ideal inner speech, personal magnetism, emotional regulation, nervous system regulation, heart-brain coherence, all these things that I get messages for asking, how do you do these things? And I say, all these things are the natural result of being as you are. It just appears this way. It may appear like you do this, it may appear like you do that, yet I can of myself do nothing, the Father within doeth the work. You abide as you are and witness all these things happening naturally, spontaneously, effortlessly, in flow. So just as you remain as you are in meditation while going for a walk, you still remain as you are eternally that during an initiative, a project, a task, etc., even during perceived challenge. Where is that challenge perceived from? It's perceived from a belief in mind that suggests whatever task, project, starting a conversation with a person, having a conversation with a person, for example, in entrepreneurship, marketing, sales, operations, finance, leadership, there seems to be resistance in these areas. The resistance is generated by the beliefs in mind, which are released naturally. They naturally are surrendered. You naturally detach from them as you know who you are, which is beyond conformity. Romans 12:2. Do not conform to the patterns of this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind. Then you'll be able to test and approve what God's will is, his good, perfect, and pleasing will. That could also sound like a thing to do. Do not conform. You are beyond conformity. You do not conform, yet it appears that this world is in harmony with you. The world appears to dance with you, is a way of saying it. And thus there is no resistance in flow. In flow, there is no resistance. There's no confusion in mind. There's no uncertainty in mind. There's no resistance. And if resistance arises, it is witnessed as an opportunity naturally, as a point into the flow. Here's what I mean. So, in the book Flow by Mihaly Csikszentmihalyi, he talks about how you can also experience flow in the sweet spot where challenge meets skill. And as mentioned, it appears as challenging, perceived challenge, whatever it may be, through identification to a particular belief. So that provides an opportunity to know who you are and abide as you are. So in that moment, it is known that you are beyond identification, and the flow continues. Not only does the flow continue, that identification to that particular belief in mind is also released and no longer appears. So an example would be is back in the days, I used to teach these speed reading workshops for iris reading. And prior to the workshops, which were on Saturday and Sunday, I would feel a buildup of anxiety. It would start on Monday, and it would feel very overwhelming on Friday. Now, I did not run away from the challenge. Teaching these speed reading workshops was something that I genuinely desired to do. It is who I am. I'm not pretending to be someone that I'm not. I just desire to be as I am, and I am already that. As mentioned, you desire in this life to live your life, or we could say, know what is life and live your life, which is a natural result of knowing what life is. So you desire to know/be who you are. That's stated. I know that I am that eternal bliss, and the way that I desire to experience bliss in form is teaching these workshops. So, on the way to leading up to Friday, I would discover that there was access points into the flow. Prior to the workshops, during the workshops, opportunities to relax into the flow. And that which was felt like anxiety was naturally, automatically transmuted into excitement. And then what happened was I would feel flow prior to, during, and after teaching these workshops, a natural reflection of being as I am. So the way he teaches it in the book is you can have a vision and have some granular level goals. So my vision was my definite chief aim at the time, which was the entrepreneurial success result, which was a specific business income goal. Then a granular level was one of the initiatives or the granular level goals. And the initiative was teaching this workshop. Interestingly, even though I had an IT business, the opportunity arose to teach these workshops as not only an opportunity to generate an additional stream of income, I also ended up getting clients as a result of teaching these workshops, as I would teach these workshops to professionals, and I would refine my ability to sell, to speak, to communicate, etc., which again represent who I am. If there was resistance, that's okay. There were access points into the flow. So during an initiative, let's say I started teaching these workshops, there is immediate reporting and feedback, what I think and what I emotionally relate. Yet, prior to the thoughts, prior to the emotional relatability, prior to the body, is that still I am presence. That is the eternal peace, the eternal fulfillment, the eternal love, the eternal happiness, the eternal bliss, the eternal joy. And if at any moment I was about to become identified with a thought of limitation, or if I became identified with an emotion and then thought that I was not doing a great job or any kind of thought of limitation, which was clearly untrue, identification would be released as I was aware, as I know that I am prior to all these experiences. Thus, I am aware of what I think. I am aware of what I emotionally relate. I am prior to that I that is witnessing and experiencing in this world. Yet I am prior to this world. And as I relax into the being I am, based on that immediate reporting and feedback, it would appear as a harmony between challenge and skill, like how we would talk about in his book. You can access the flow in the sweet spot or the harmony point between challenge and skill. And there are many harmony points. So rather than running away from challenge, what naturally emerged by relaxing into the flow, by being as I am, knowing that I am, what naturally emerged from the silence is skill, acquired skill. Now, that skill remained with me. And as I continued to perform these initiatives again and again and again, and this is true for any kind of communication, including making these videos, if there was any perceived challenge, I got excited about the challenge because I knew that there was a sweet spot there, there was a harmony point there to draw the skill out from within. And it's not a drawing as in forcing it out. It naturally arises in flow. From the infinite intelligence within, naturally what arises is the skill. And it could be things that I have never seen anyone do before. So at the end of the workshops, they used to fill out these forms, feedback on the workshop. And they would say things in there like, I have never experienced that kind of teaching. And it was very helpful. Or I never experienced a workshop like this before. It was certainly unique, yet it was effective. Because you discover your own style, which happens to be your best style. And so I wrote a book about this on entrepreneurship. I call it The Direct Path to $1 Million. Turn what you already have into a fortune. I'll put a link in the description to it. Because all throughout my life, when I look back, when I connect the dots looking backwards, as Steve Jobs said in his commencement speech, which I used to watch over and over again while I was building my IT business, I realized that it was my knowledge, wisdom, life experience, reference experience, stories, and insights and perspectives that people were paying me for. In my IT business, I did 10 years in corporate prior to that. But prior to that, when I was growing up, I was into computers. It was what I naturally loved to do. That turned into a corporate career, which turned into an IT business. And what I learned in my IT business turned into a consulting practice in 2013, turned into what I shared throughout the years on this channel, and also my insights and perspectives in relation to the books that were very helpful for me along the journey. And this has been very helpful for me, knowing that during perceived challenge, there is an access point to the flow. So not only do I remain in flow then, which again is the natural result of being as you are. And the natural result of being as you are is knowing who you are. You are that eternal, still, I am presence, and your real nature is bliss. And you experience bliss where? In consciousness. Sat-Chit-Ananda, existence consciousness bliss, or existence consciousness peace, joy, happiness. So in these moments during challenge, which again is perceived challenge, they were opportunity points to be more as I am. Thus the natural manifestation of it was the skill. And then throughout the years, I studied various things on what one can do to be more as they are. And then I found that all of these things, such as the ones on my screen here, also are a natural result. So just by being as you are, all these things, as stated in the Bible, seek ye first the kingdom of God and his righteousness, and all these things will be added onto you. So all these things are added onto you. What you do, what you don't do, what you say, what you don't say, how you go about saying it, your style, how you dress, everything happens naturally. And we can point to that and say effective communication, or in relationships and dating and personal life, we could say attractiveness or personal magnetism. Now, in his book, he also talked about some of the effects as a result of not running away from challenge, rather knowing that during the perceived challenge, there is access points, there are infinity access points into the flow. And as you remain as you are in flow, you are always who you are. It just might not appear that way. It's the illusion of the separate self. As you remain as you are, skill is cultivated, and all kinds of things happen, interestingly, out of nowhere. At the end of the workshop, I had a number of people come up to me at the end of these workshops, and they became IT clients. A number of them came up to me and asked if I would teach the workshop to their organizations. Some of them were executives, some of them owned businesses, and I worked out a deal with Iris Reading. Not only did I get my fee, but I got a percentage on the deal. Those things naturally emerged, magically, in flow. So he says actions and awareness are one in flow. So there's no confusion. Should I do this? Should I do that? Should I take action? Should I not take action? There is no such thing as confusion or uncertainty or doubt or contradiction in flow. While in flow, everything reconciles, physical, emotional, mental, spiritual, as one, inner and outer, are experienced as one. The world appears to dance with you, does not appear to be in conflict with you. It is not fundamentally in conflict with you. That it would be an illusory thought, and you are not that illusory thought. So thus, the natural result of flow is also experienced as a reconciliation of divergent thinking and convergent thinking into what I call lateral being or harmonious being. You can make up whatever word you'd like. What it's pointing to is the fact that reality fundamentally is perfect as it is. The fundamental true nature of you is what we can point to and say love, happiness, peace, bliss, fulfillment, joy, Sat-Chit-Ananda, existence, consciousness, bliss. These are the wise words of the sages who had this realization, and you have the realization. You know exactly what is being referred to here. And so you just remain as you are, and things happen naturally. While in meditation, while going for a walk, while engaged with whatever task, initiative, on the way of life is flow, on the way to manifesting your vision, whatever it may be, lavish, steady, dependable income, consistent with integrity and mutual benefit, ideal harmonious relationships. So what he also said, distractions are no longer there, fear, doubt, and indecision are not there. You may experience time distortion. You're not worried about time, in other words. And he says this in his way, Autotelic being, which is essentially you being established in your desired reality. And it's interesting to say that the desired reality is who you are. You are that already, as mentioned. In this life, you desire to live your life. What is life? And live your life? Or we could say, know/be who you are. And the natural result of that are all these things added onto you. And so there's no confusion or question, even some of these things that you were trying to do to be attractive, to be magnetic, to get results, etc., you no longer worry about them. They all happen naturally. You may do them, you may not do them. That is not a concern anymore. Being autotelic, you experience reality as a perfect whole now. So I trust you found this video to be helpful. Let's conclude this with an auto suggestion to further encourage. You could say, I know who I am, and I know that I am all that I desire to be. From the sure foundation of being as I am, everything appears spontaneously to be in harmony with me. Visions and desires spontaneously manifest. Harmonious relationships, friendships, life experiences spontaneously manifest as I live my life. If you would like a copy of this mind map, the link is in the description. Thank you very much for watching. I'll talk with you soon. Take care.